Well, so now we're here to talk about the substantive issues. Towards the end of the news day yesterday, we got to know that the Supreme Court had made a final decision on how they hope to treat the Montie 3. And we're told that they said there's going to be a sentence, and that very sentence will be announced next week, Wednesday. Mama V.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, we are not legal brains. There are a lot of things that we also want to find out this morning. Lots of messages. Some of you are also sending us on our WhatsApp page. So we will speak to Samson Ladi Ayenini, who is a private legal practitioner who was also in court yesterday for better understanding of some of the things that went on yesterday. And I'll say hello to you, Samson Ladi Ayenini, and thanks for your time. Good morning to you.
Morning, Mama V.
I hope you're well this morning.
God's grace, I'm good.
There were a lot of expectations yesterday. Were you surprised that the court did not give out its punishment after that conviction?
I don't know, but I was particularly, should I say, a bit not too concerned about that.
Why is that?
I was indifferent. I should say, because look, I know what the law stipulates would happen if you plead guilty to a charge of contempt, and I knew before yesterday that they were going to plead guilty. In fact, their lawyers have started announcing that they were going to plead for clemency, for mercy. What that simply meant was that they were going to plead guilty. And they did. They pleaded guilty, all of them. The two directors who were present pleaded guilty. They said they were guilty with explanation. The secretary to the company, a very senior lawyer, Abraham Labi, also pleaded guilty with explanation. Then Harry Zakor, who is the owner of the frequency, also pleaded guilty with explanation. So all four belonging to the company pleaded guilty with explanation. Then you had the three hosts and panelists also pleading guilty with explanation, that is for the host, and then guilty with regret for the two panelists. All of the qualifications that they gave to the plea were inconsequential because they are pleaded guilty. If in the attempt to explain they had given a justification or a defense, then the court would have been bound to rather substitute the guilty plea with a not guilty plea. But in the explanations they sought to give, they were actually not explanations, as the court told them. What they sought to give were rather pleas for mercy and to tamper justice with mercy, and all of that didn't amount to what the law requires, that if the explanation sounded like a defense or a justification of what they had done, then the law bound the judges to have substituted the guilty plea with a not guilty plea. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, and they also didn't expect that to happen. So for as long as I knew they were going to plead guilty, I knew that if you plead guilty, you'll be convicted, and if you are convicted, you'll be sentenced. And the sentence would be a number of, things, one off or a combination of a number of sanctions. And which sanctions I already know. Either you are going to be cautioned if yours was not grave, you were just going to be cautioned. You could be cautioned and be made to sign a bond to be of good behavior for 6 months, for 1 year, for a particular period, within which if you committed another crime or any other offense, then you were in deep trouble. you could be made to pay as to a sentence to a fine, and the fine would not be too much of money. It would just be some small amount of money as punitive. If you could not afford to make the money available in default of paying, then you go into jail, and you could have a fine plus a term in jail. You could have a combination of all the other things that I've said. And if you were to go to jail, the contemptuous misdemeanor is the maximum of 3 years in jail. Unfortunately, however, when it has to be punished as contempt simpliciter, the court hardly gives anybody the maximum of a misdemeanor charge. So you will see going for a few weeks, going for a few days, going for 1 day, or going for a maximum 3 months or 6 months.
So either way, Samson, are you an ex-convict? I mean, with what's been slapped on them now, is that how we can call them?
Yes, they've been convicted. They are convicts. And Mama V, that's where I say, right after the court gives the decision and people began to murmur and people suggesting that the court was treating these people with kid gloves, I thought to suggest to them that if anybody didn't understand the consequences of a conviction, they may ask the lawyer who was involved. That's a senior lawyer, a lawyer of many years at the bar, to be convicted of a crime, and this is crime. It's quasi criminal. To be convicted is not a small thing. It's a big deal. Look, criminal convictions generally, or we can say often, criminal convictions by our constitution can prevent you from holding certain offices, can prevent you from contesting as an MP, because the constitution says so. It can prevent you from, if you read article 49, it will 94. Article 94 is very clear. If you have had some convictions of criminal nature, it could be a disqualification from becoming an MP. Even to want to become president, you need to qualify to be an MP before you can qualify to be president. All of that can stop you. If you are a lawyer, for example, or if you want to be a lawyer and you have convictions upon your body, it may be grounds for you not to be, enrolled, or it may be grounds for your name to be removed from the role of lawyers because you have suffered a conviction according to the Legal Profession Act, section 16 thereabouts. Also, for example, if you took the Bank of Ghana, if you wanted to be a member of the board of Bank of Ghana, one disqualification is that you have suffered a conviction of a criminal nature and some moral turpitude, as you find in the usage. So a conviction is not a mean thing. People should not, think that, oh, they've just been convicted. It's not just. And I say we should stop baying for their blood. We should stop crying for their blood. We should stop just yelling for them to be imprisoned. Because look, what they have suffered now is huge. And you and I know, if you are going to the embassy today to apply for a visa, or if you wanted to apply for a passport, whatever, you'll be asked. Even some jobs, you'll be asked, have you ever been convicted? And some of it is grounds for you not to be giving, some of these basic things in life.
Sure.
So it's not easy.
Samson, you've got to hold on for us, though. We want to engage Mr. Suleiman Abrahima, who is with the Media Foundation for West Africa, because there's a question that we're asking. What does this whole conviction do to freedom of speech, freedom of the press? And we'll take your view on that, Samson, so just hold on for us. But Mr. Suleiman Abrahima, good morning, and thanks for your time this morning here on our show. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Okay, I think it's better now. So what do you make of this whole conviction? It's such a big deal, apparently.
Well, it is for the individual for
Hello, Mr. Brahma, the line is not quite clear. We can hardly hear you.
Is it better now?
I think so. Let's do with what we have now.
Well, so the point I was making is that something happened.
Mr. Brahma, it looks like we have to raise you on another line because the line is terrible now. We can hardly hear you. We'll try and call you back. But Mr. Samson Ladi Ayenini is still with us. So your view on what this conviction does to freedom of speech. Should I be careful what I say on the show, for instance?
Imali, I'm grateful that I get to finish before Suleiman council. But look, let's look at it this way. Your freedom is not limitless freedom. Your freedom of speech, your freedom of expression, your freedom of thought, your freedom of assembly, your freedom of of the media is not limitless. In fact, if you read Article 1624 and 5 thereabout, I'm sure you will see very clearly that the freedom is not a limitless freedom. I think Article 164, you find it very clear that the freedoms that have been granted the press of no censorship, of no impediment to be put in your way in the work you do, or no editorial, censorship, so to speak, are not without limits. And so you read in the Constitution, and it's very clear that those freedoms are subject. They are subject to the laws of this country as far as the laws for the protection of the reputation of individuals are concerned, and we are talking about libel, defamation, for the protection of national security, morals, and one or two other things I can't immediately recall. So we cannot say that it means there is an attempt to stifle press freedom.
Okay.
Unless we want to say that we want to promote press terrorism.
All right. Ms. Ayenini, we'll leave our conversation here, but we're grateful so much for your time this morning. That's private legal practitioner, Mr. Samson Ladi Ayenini, on this issue of a journalist, a presenter with Montie FM, its directors and 2 panelists who've been convicted. We will also raise Mr. Suleiman Abraima, who is with the Media Foundation for West Africa, on the line. Hopefully we get a better connection this time around. Let me try and see if we do have him on the line. All right, Mr. Abraima, greetings to you. Hopefully the connection is better now.
Yes, greetings, and I hope it's better now.
Yes, it is, exactly.
Okay.
So, I was asking what this does to press freedom.
Well, I think that I can understand those who would raise the question about how this impacts on press freedom negatively. And my understanding would be that, well, these people are looking at press freedom from a very, very narrow perspective, without looking at the big question of what recklessness and unprofessionalism or irresponsible conduct by journalists and people who use the media can do to press freedom. And I've always said that if there is anything that is very detrimental to press freedom and freedom of expression, it is actually how irresponsible people can use platforms that are provided for freedom of expression to conduct their affairs. Now, as people always say, there cannot be anything powerful than the power of the people. And therefore, if anything would happen that would get the citizenry upset, that will get the citizenry angry with journalists and with media practitioners, then of course that can be the biggest threat to the press freedom that we all want to jealously guard. Now, if you look at what happened, and even right from the day the Supreme Court issued the summons, quite clearly, a number of media organizations that we monitored that were often problematic, often would have panelists to say all manner of things, have called into their shells. And indeed, when we talk about press freedom being something that is valuable for democracy, it is actually not just the fact that people can go and sit on radio and insult others and abuse others in the name of press freedom. It is for the fact that people can have the avenue and the opportunity to express their thoughts, to contribute their views, and to participate in the governance discourse in a more civil and in a decorous way that at the end of the day benefits everyone. But if it is about the kinds of things that we heard said, which ended up, having these people before the Supreme Court, I think that that was rather a much more dangerous development for press freedom than having our court saying that, look, press freedom does not mean you can just do anything. Press freedom should contribute to order, should contribute to justice, should contribute to fairness, and should contribute to the stability of our country. So I don't see how what the Supreme Court is doing negatively impacts on the whole thing about press freedom and freedom of expression.
Okay.
Why? During the election petition, some people were even jailed, including one editor. But after that, people still thought that they have the freedom to express themselves, and indeed, people have the freedom to express themselves.
Mr. Brahma, your periodic monitoring and reports of bad language on our airways, for instance, has not helped much. Do you think we need more of these convictions to bring some kind of sanity on our airways today?
No, I don't think that we need more of these convictions. I suppose that what has happened is something that people would learn from. And I doubt people would even repeat the kinds of things that have landed these people in this big trouble. And in terms of the language monitoring, look, we have had media owners, media managers from across the country whose platforms are often cited call us to say, I have been called by a friend to say that my station has been cited in your report. Can you please explain to me exactly what happened? Can you send me the exact codes that the people used? And what is your advice going forward in order to prevent these kinds of things from my platform? But of course, there have also been other media organizations which would subject the Media Foundation to very, very scathing attacks and insults whenever their name comes up in our report. And I believe one of those is the group that is now before the Supreme Court.
Montie
and I
FM.
believe that, as I've said, people will take a cue from what is happening. And our report, of course, we are issuing our latest report this morning. And I believe that people will take a cue from it and ask themselves, what is it that we have to do that we are not doing?
Mama, just before you take leave of us, has the GJA or the media, the national, the NMC, for instance, taken interest in the reports that you bring out?
Well, the National Media Commission, I would say yes. The GJA, I don't have any evidence as yet to say that they've used our report or they've taken our report for some analysis and for some actions to be taken. But I know for sure that the NMC has always indicated the interest of the Commission in always looking at our report and seeing what they can do as they engage across the regions and as they engage media houses across the country.
To leave our conversation here, you're launching something this morning.
Yes, we are issuing our latest report this morning, which covers the entire month of June, and I believe that, as I said, people would take a cue from it. And as you know, tomorrow we also are hosting a big event at Alisa Hotel on media, hate speech, and peaceful elections. And because of the whole thing about social media, we are bringing folks from Facebook's headquarters in California to address questions that people may have and to address the issues that may be was of concern to the IGP and the police when they issued the threat about the possibility of closing or shutting down social media on election day. So I believe tomorrow at least we will have some clarity from our folks from social media, from Facebook who are coming from headquarters, and they include their chief policy director on contempt policy. So everyone is invited, and I hope that we would have a peaceful elections at the end of the day.
We are grateful for your time this morning. Thanks a lot. That's
Thank
Mr.
you very
Suleiman Ibrahima, who is with the Media Foundation for West Africa. You're watching the AM show. We're talking about outcomes of a Supreme Court hearing yesterday, the contempt charge. We know there's been a conviction. There was also an atmosphere outside the Supreme Court yesterday, and we will tell you all about it here on the show, so do stay.